She died alone. And then something in the apartment next door started to change. Welcome back to Karma Quietly Whispers, my loves. This is your place for spooky, creepy, and scary stories. My name is Elara, and I am your whisperer. Tonight, please join me as we journey together. I'm sure you will enjoy what is to come. So, let us begin. This story is sad, more than it is scary, more than it is supernatural. It is genuinely, quietly sad. A woman who didn't deserve what happened to her. A death that didn't have to happen. The darkness here isn't a creature. It isn't a figure in a doorway. The darkness here is human. A man who walked away while a woman was dying. Who didn't call anyone. Who chose his own comfort over her life. And then, maybe, what came after is something else entirely. This was shared on Reddit's TrueScaryStories, and it comes from someone who used to live in one of those old houses that gets divided up into apartments over the years. 4 units carved out of a space that was probably once a single home. Thin walls, close neighbors, the kind of building where you learn everyone's rhythms without meaning to. When they wake up, when they get home, the particular sound of their door. Our narrator's bedroom shared a wall with the apartment next door. A thin wall. Paper thin, they said. They always heard everything. The door opening and closing. The small sounds of a life being lived on the other side. One day, they woke from a nap to voices outside. Loud, and a man screaming. They looked out the bedroom window into the driveway and saw an ambulance. And on the stretcher, a white sheet, the particular, unmistakable shape of a body being loaded in. They texted their neighbor, still groggy, still processing, just checking in. And then, slowly, the pieces assembled themselves into something they didn't want to understand. She lived alone. Her apartment was sealed off by police. The entire block was closed. A CSI van was parked out front. When our narrator stepped outside, they were immediately surrounded by officers asking what they'd seen, what they'd heard, whether anyone had gone in or out between 2 and 3 p.m. They hadn't. They'd been asleep. The story that eventually came together, pieced together from mutual friends, from the father of her children who our narrator knew personally, was this. She had recently had surgery. She was in recovery. She relapsed. She called her dealer, her ex-boyfriend. He came. He gave her what she asked for. And when she began to overdose, he left, didn't call anyone, didn't stay, just walked out the door and let whatever was going to happen, happen. Her boyfriend, a different man, found her body later. I've read a lot of dark stories for this channel. Loves, true ones, fictional ones, everything in between. And this one sits differently than most of them because there is no mystery to the evil at its center. It doesn't need to be supernatural to be horrific. A man made a choice. A clear, conscious, deliberate choice. And a woman died in an apartment with a paper-thin wall between her and another human being who was asleep 10 feet away. This is the kind of thing that happens in the real world every day and doesn't make the news. And I think it should stay with us. Now, our narrator stayed in that apartment for some time after. and they noticed something. The closet, the one on the shared wall, the wall between their home and where she died. It was cold, not drafty, not slightly chilly, cold, notably abnormally cold. Every time the door was opened, the temperature inside was at least 20 degrees colder than the rest of the apartment. The landlord was told. The landlord said it must be an insulation issue. Had it fixed, the cold didn't change. And there was a small light bulb in that closet. And no matter how many times it was replaced, no matter how many new bulbs went in, it would flicker constantly and burn out quickly, far too quickly, after only a handful of uses. 20 degrees colder than the surrounding space. A light that will not hold. I'm not going to tell you what that means. I don't think it's my place to. And honestly, I'm not sure any of us gets to say with certainty what lingers and what doesn't. What stays in the walls of a place after something terrible and what simply dissipates like smoke. But I will tell you this. Some people believe that cold spots are the most consistent, most reported, most physically measurable marker of a presence that shouldn't be there. Cold concentrated in one place. Cold that doesn't respond to repair. Cold that persists. And lights that flicker and fail. Lights that seem to refuse to function normally in a single, specific location. Appear in story after story after story from people who have no reason to lie, no incentive to perform, no audience to impress. She died with one person in the room who could have helped and chose not to. She died with a neighbor close enough to hear her door, but asleep during the hours it mattered. She died, apparently, with very little left to do anything but make a light flicker and a closet run cold. I find that unbearably sad, but I also find something in it that is almost a comfort. The idea that she didn't just leave, that something of her remained, not to frighten, not to haunt in the traditional sense, just to be felt. To the neighbor our narrator lost. You deserved better. You deserved someone who stayed. You deserved the call that wasn't made. And whatever you left behind in that cold closet, whatever made that light refuse to hold. We hear you. And to the man who walked out the door, I hope the cold finds you too. Eventually. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, please reach out. These stories happen in real life. They don't have to end this way. This story was sourced from Reddit's TrueScaryStories. Names and details have been changed. My deepest respect to the original poster for sharing something this personal. Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Elara, and I am your whisperer. I'll be here, waiting for you next time. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment below. I want to hear your stories. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more. This has been Karma Quietly Whispers. See you soon.